Hi, and welcome to Temple Street, the show brought to you by the Department of Communication and Journalism. I'm Jim McMasters.
And I'm Paige Sullivan. On today's show, we learn about Muslim American students who are raising awareness about their religion, get a glimpse at the annual figure skating show at the Skating Club of Boston, and we also hear from Bostonians about what they have to say about their public transportation experiences, and get an inside look at Suffolk's recent hit show, Car Talk the Musical. And
in our in-studio interview, we'll talk with Amira Al-Shariff, an international student and photographer from Yemen. We'll also look at some of this year's winners of the 4th annual Rammy Awards. And as always, we'll end with Katie Cawley in Critics Corner. Katie, what do you have for us this week?
Well, Jim, with the royal wedding fever still in the air today, it's all about princesses. I'll be back to talk about more later.
But first, the news. To most Bostonians, Patriots' Day is not only commemorated and remembered as the first battles of the Revolutionary War, but also as the day of the Boston Marathon. Mary McCrossan and Taylor Bartley joined the cheering crowd at the finish line as thousands of runners completed the world's oldest and most famous annual marathon.
Boston Marathon weekend is considered the unofficial start of spring to many in Massachusetts. This year, Monday, April 18th, also marked the 115th Boston Marathon, and no sporting event in New England draws a larger or more diverse crowd. A total of 26,923 official runners participated in the race, including 4,307 runners from 67 countries, including the United States.
150 people, they finish it. Or maybe they're not going to be able to finish it, and they're in pain.
Starting in Hopkinton, Massachusetts, and ending at Copley Square, it was an emotional day for not only the participants, but also for the estimated 500,000 spectators lining the 26.2-mile course. But these viewers did much more than just watch. For the entire distance of the race, the thousands lined up on the sides of the course to cheer the runners on, encourage them, and provide free water and snacks. Standing out from the athletic-looking runners was a group of American soldiers who participated in the race dressed in full uniform. When passing by the crowds, these runners made everyone watching scream and cheer with respect and enthusiasm.
Marathon Monday is so exciting for Boston. Everyone's here. We're all out for the runners. We're all here for the same thing. Woo!
Jeffrey Mutai of Kenya was the winner, breaking the record and reaching the finish line in only 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 2 seconds. Of the women runners, Kenyan Caroline Khalil finished first with a time of 2 hours and 22 minutes. American Desiree Davila trailed her throughout the race and finished a mere 2 seconds behind. It was an emotional day for not only the runners. Marathon Monday was filled with love and support from family, friends, and even strangers. For Temple Street, I'm Mary McCrossan.
What a great achievement for these runners. Congratulations to all the participants for their hard work and dedication. We hope to see this annual event continuing to grow in the future.
Although 10 years have passed since the tragic events of 9/11, Muslim Americans say they're still being depicted negatively in the news media and often feel like suspects in public. Now, young students in the Boston area are taking this matter into their own hands, planning campus events aimed at educating people about Islam. Farah Shamsuddin and Don Kadir have more on the story.
Islam is the world's second largest and fastest growing religion, with nearly 7 million Muslims living in the United States alone. Despite this global presence, ignorance and misrepresentation of the Islamic faith still leads to an increasing anti-Muslim sentiment. Young Muslim Americans say the media has unfairly focused on linking Muslims with terrorism, especially after the tragic events of September 2001. There have been many documented cases of Muslims who were targeted nationwide as being anti-democratic and were ostracized from their neighborhood, suffered harassment, or held in endless lines at the airport security checks.
A couple of years after September 11, we were actually going to Jordan, and at the security check, of course, the random check. My sister, the alarm beeped on her, and she had to go in a private section. They had to strip her down. She had to stand like this, and it turns out it was just the button on her pants, but they thought that she was hiding something, and so they had to pat her down and everything.
To combat the negative stereotypes facing American Muslims daily, young Muslims have been hosting events on college campuses to educate their communities about Islam.
Well, I think it's very important that young Muslims especially are active not only because I think a lot of the negativity in the media has sort of stigmatized them.
This year, MIST, the Muslim Interscholastic Tournament, was held at Suffolk University and gave young Muslims and non-Muslims the opportunity to compete in different academic fields, such as math and science, but also rap and improvisation, all while learning about the basic principles of Islam.
Instead of being put into the public schools with the criteria of, as one kid even said, his name is Muhammad, but he says Mo. So he comes into this realistically where he can be strong as a Muslim.
While stereotypes surrounding Islam continue to spread throughout the U.S., organizations such as the Muslim Student Association say they are committed to fighting this negative environment by creating a positive public sphere where students of all faiths can learn about the foundations of Islam.
The thing was blasted around the world. You know, Muslims are doing this. The entire Muslim community was in chaos all of a sudden because these accusations that were made towards us without much proof that, you know, these people are radical, they should be stopped.
But much more than only distorted media coverage, American Muslims say they were offended by recent political attacks, especially the May 10th congressional hearing, led by Republican Representative Peter King, and linking Islam with the growing threats of terrorism in the U.S. These public accusations, they say, have further fueled and manipulated the negative public perception of Islam.
When I'm not wearing hijab, nobody even notices me.
Muslim students nationwide say they see it as both their role and duty to combat discrimination and misperception post 9/11. Today, they are taking a stance and spreading the deeper meaning of Islam, which is peace. For Temple Street, this is Dawn Kadir. Salam.
If you're interested in learning more about student initiatives during Islam Awareness Month, visit your university's Muslim Student Association.
The Skating Club of Boston's annual Ice Chip Show celebrated its 99th anniversary this year. Held at Harvard University, this is the longest-running amateur figure skating show in the world. Reporter Ariana Yoon has the story.
From children and beginner skaters to Olympic champions, the Skating Club of Boston is known for its long tradition and skaters' talents. Directed by Suffolk University senior Timothy LeBlanc, this year's show called Reflections was paying tribute to American adventure and pop culture.
It was called Reflections as we were paying tribute in a section of the show to the 1961 U.S. figure skating team that died in a plane crash on their way to Worlds in Czechoslovakia. A lot of those skaters that died in that plane crash were from the Skating Club of Boston. So in doing so, as I said, the show was called Reflections, and what we did is a travel through different decades in the sport of figure skating, starting off in the 60s and all the way to the present day in the age of the sport.
Run by figure skating professionals and a team of volunteers, the cast is made up of over 380 skaters, ranging from 3 to 50 years old. This year, the Skating Club of Boston welcomed special guest skaters, the 2010 Olympic pair champions Xie Shen and Hongbo Zhao.
We have great Shen and Zhao, who are the headliners, are fantastic. I've been watching them for a decade, and they're probably the best at their craft in the world.
And it was truly exciting to work with them and to produce a show that encompasses all that they've done, and it's something that's inspiring for all the generations under them in the show.
今天呢，很高兴来到这里，非常高兴，非常开心。
With a year of preparation and 3 months of rehearsals, skaters leave the stress of the competition world to skate at ease with their peers.
The ice chip is a time they put everybody together. After a long, tedious, hard-working, stressful competition season, this is time for kids to enjoy.
We do ice chips, we always just let ourselves have fun, and we don't really care about what we do. Yeah, because it's all fun, and we know that we're benefiting something, so we have fun.
After a spectacular display to over 7,000 spectators, the show has donated over $70,000 to Children's Hospital Boston and Girl Scouts of America. The Skating Club of Boston is already looking forward to its upcoming centennial performance in 2012.
I think the show was a huge success, and I can honestly say that just 2 weeks later we're already planning for next year, and I think that the audience for next year for the 100th anniversary will be blown away with what's in store. It's certainly a huge historical event in the skating world.
For Temple Street, I'm Ariane Yun.
We will have to check back next year, as we are sure the centennial anniversary will be quite the show.
On this week's Speak Out, Katie Colley and Paige Sullivan asked people to share their worst experiences with Boston's public transportation.
Hi, so what is your worst public transportation experience?
This winter when we had all that snow, there was a day in a snowstorm where I got on a bus and the bus driver's not having a good day.
The train just kind of shut off underground. Like
It must have been fun.
Yeah, the lights literally turned off, everybody got dark. We sat there in the dark for like 3 minutes. Nobody said anything to each other.
She tried to pull out in the middle of a funeral.
The worst for me was the one day, years and years ago, when the T actually went on strike.
A state police officer sort of honked at her and started yelling at her.
And there was a guy behind me who was happy that day and proceeded to use my backside. So,
oh my God.
Swear to God, that used to happen to us all the time.
She started screaming at the state police officer.
I was stuck on a Soviet train once for 2 days.
And then she turned around while she was driving the bus and she was screaming and swearing at us.
I think it's every single night that there's a home Red Sox game in the summer and I have to wear a full suit and stand down in Park Street where there's no air conditioning with all those people trying to crowd onto the train.
And the whole time, the streets are really narrow because there's all this snow piled up.
Someone kept falling asleep on me.
Must have been fun.
And then they woke up and sneezed on me.
And she's like weaving in and out between the streets.
A gentleman in a suit who looks like a completely normal person told me that I looked like his pussycat with an emphasis on pussy.
Screaming at us and dropping F-bombs all over the place.
That was on a T that derailed.
That was not a good bus ride.
I enjoy it, I guess. I like how you can sneak on pretty easily.
But I love public transportation, so I don't want to say I'm anti-public transportation. That was just she was having a bad day.
I've had some pretty interesting experiences with public transportation myself, but I think we're going to save that for another show.
All right, speaking of transportation, last month Suffolk University's theater department presented the world premiere of Car Talk the Musical. Written and directed by Professor Wesley Savick, the musical was inspired by the long-running radio show Car Talk on NPR, and also featured recorded voices of the hosts Tom and Ray as the Wizard. Temple Street reporters Kristen Contreras and Timothy LeBlanc have more on the story.
After weeks of long and grueling rehearsals, Suffolk University's theater department presented Car Talk the Musical. Directed by Professor Wesley Savick, this production was honored to be the first to break onto the heart of the city at Suffolk's brand new modern theater. Savick, with no interest in cars, stumbled upon NPR's hit show Car Talk, hosted by Tom and Ray Magliozzi, otherwise known as Click and Clack, who, for the past 24 years, have reached 4.4 million listeners a week and instantly fell in love with their humor.
They've got a really wonderful sense of engaging people, and whoever calls, they seem to take delight in talking to. Such delight that I think that's what's so infectious. Car repair is the excuse to listen to them, I think, and their humor is very, I've thought about that. I think their humor is very life-affirming, because I was telling someone else, to own a car is to become very intimate with disappointment.
She knows I have the answer. She knows I can get my hands on the money.
I needed this character, Rusty Fenders, to be older than the typical Suffolk student. This guy is kind of suffering a midlife crisis. Now, Nail's too young to have a midlife crisis, but he's further along than our current undergraduates.
Rusty, throughout the play, kind of comes to realize that even though he's a mess, and he's not getting younger, and he's got a heart problem, he kind of learns to see what's been in front of him the whole time and to kind of appreciate what he has.
Car Talk the Musical tells the story of Rusty Fenders, who's suffering a midlife crisis. Starting off with Rusty dreaming that he is in a musical, he must face the Wizard of Oz, a 12-foot-high puppet made of automotive parts and voiced by Car Talk host Click and Clack.
Do you deliver cheese? What does that have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. Don't mind him.
I don't mind him.
Professor Savick said that while many things worried him during the production, by far the most nail-biting of all was Tom and Ray's reaction to the play.
We read through it, and afterwards, Tom, I can't repeat this on television, but he said something to the effect of, oh, we thought this was going to be, fill in the word. And I said, oh, and it's not? And he said, no, it's very good. So that made me feel great.
Alongside the voices of Ray and Tom, the play includes 15 parodies of Broadway songs from productions such as Annie and The Sound of Music, with new automotive lyrics, a combination that got the audience laughing and clapping throughout the show.
Whether this happens or not, I don't know, but the goal was that an audience member who comes to see this will feel as if Click and Clack wrote it, not me. And that's my hope.
Great way to kick off the new space, and I didn't really know it was a student production. It was very professionally done. The music was great. To hear Click and Clack in the background, I mean, it was great. It was a lot of fun.
It was really fun. I mean, they had the good spirit of Car Talk, the radio show.
I thought it was fabulous. I enjoyed the music. I'm a big fan of all sorts of musicals, so I could see where they got the music from, and I just thought they did a nice blend.
It's just incredible. The kids are great, and the music was great. And it was the best hour and a half I've ever spent here at the Modern.
Car Talk the Musical was praised by the Suffolk community as well as the Boston public. In an email to the executive producers of Car Talk, the brothers said, quote, "Call us for a comment if the show ever gets to Broadway, even Broadway in Somerville," which to me seems like a major possibility for this successful production. For Temple Street, I'm Kristen Gutierrez.
To catch an episode of Tom and Ray's Car Talk on NPR, tune in Saturday mornings at 11 a.m.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Amira Al-Shariff, a photography student from Yemen who is currently studying in New York City.
Today, about 1 in 5 Americans is living with a disability. Over 50 million people, including many of our friends and neighbors, teachers and co-workers, heroes and leaders. 20 years ago, the Americans with Disabilities Act guaranteed every person the right to live, work, and participate fully in the American experience. We've come a long way since then, and we are committed to making even more progress in the years ahead. Visit disability.gov to see how you can help.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darks there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Find out how you can live united for education. Give, advocate, volunteer. Go to liveunited.org.
Joining us next is Amira Al-Shariff, a photojournalist who documented the lives of women in Yemen. She has traveled to America to study and work on a new project documenting the lives of American women. Farah Chemseddine talked to Amira earlier in our studio.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Marhaba. I'm really glad that you came.
Thank you so much, Farah.
No problem. How did you get interested in photography?
It's in my blood.
It's in your blood?
Yes.
And what interests you? Like, what is photography? Like, how does it interest you?
I did photography from the time I was 8 years old. I never remember that I wasn't doing photography. So, yeah, it just grew up with me.
So it just grew up with you? So, it sounds like you use photography to get a voice out of people. Like, what kind of stories do you like to tell through your photos?
I love to tell the women issues. Mainly it's daily life, tradition, culture, marginal group, Jewish community in Yemen.
So you like to focus more on like certain types of groups of people, like women and can you tell us the difficulties of being a woman photographer in Yemen?
It has two sides. So there is advantage and disadvantages. So as a conservative society, you cannot be in some certain places. You cannot be in a mosque, some social gathering, sports.
And what are so what are the disadvantages? Are they so you're saying that you can't go to a mosque. Why can you not go to a mosque and photograph people?
It's conservative society. It's just difficult for a woman to be in Amman areas.
So you're not allowed to be pretty much in any type of areas where there's a lot of men?
I did shooting in a mosque, but it's just difficult.
Okay.
Because you're supposed not to be in a mosque. You're supposed not to be in a funeral. If there is man social events, it's difficult.
So you're not allowed to be at these events because you're a woman, opposed to men, they can go and photograph in these areas.
And the thing, photography as man job, it's somehow seeing a woman in a place like this, somehow weird. But then it's good because it's a tribal society. So being a woman, they do highly respect you. And I remember I was photographing a funeral, and I have like 6 men doing like this for me. And I get the best photos.
So those are the advantages.
Yeah.
Because people actually make room for you and actually give you the time to go do it. Are there any other types of advantages of being a woman
because you are allowed. I mean, it just, it opens for you a lot of doors. You are allowed to go to prisons, some organizations. Women will be more comfortable having a female photographer. So yeah, it just gives you a lot of chances. I mean, being a woman, it doesn't allow you to be in some certain places, but just because you are female photographer will put you in the other places.
Oh wow! So that's really great. Is there a particular photo that you took in your photojournalism career that you have a special attachment for?
I have a photo in Hajjah Kafarnuret. It is for a woman wearing black palto and burqa, and for me that is Yemeni woman, because I do strongly believe that burqa or palto doesn't prevent a woman from doing her ambition and just follow her dream. And yeah, it just Yemeni woman, like black angel.
So can you explain?
Yeah, actually it is a photo for a woman, and her palto and burqa were doing as wings. So it is like.
So she was making like a wing type of gesture with the burqa, because.
It was the wind. It wasn't. So it was the wind, but it makes it like wings. And I just loved that photo because for me, for many years, I was like, okay, how I'm gonna to illustrate Yemeni woman, but then I get that photo and I just loved it because Yemeni woman can fly. I mean, wearing burqa or whatever, it's something you wear.
And why do you think that people think that because women are wearing a full length covering, that people don't view them as doing something like with their lives? Like,
I met a lot of people and they keep asking me, they think that there is like another life behind the burqa or palto, but honestly there is no another life. We just have the same dreams and ambitions, and we just follow them. And look, I'm here. I'm in America.
You are in America. And now that you live in America, I know you're working on a new project documenting women in America. Can you explain that for us?
I'm doing a project for my school. I'm studying at the International Center of Photography, 1-year program. So I'm documenting the lives of American women my age. And I already started with 4 girls.
So you're choosing certain type of woman to do this, or are you just anybody that is interested to be in it, or?
I'm selecting.
You're just selecting.
I'm picky.
You're picky on who it is.
Well, no, you know what? It's more about career, about being one of the kind. Like I'm documenting the life of firefighter. She is the first Asian firefighter in New York, and I find it cool because in Yemen we don't have firefighter, and I never heard a woman want to become firefighter. And I start just searching for career here that is like unheard of in Yemen. And I photograph also fire dancer.
A fire?
Fire dancer.
Oh.
Yeah, fire, a lot of fire.
There's a lot of fire with these photographs.
Yeah, and I'm doing blood wrestling, Bika, and my last woman, just like few weeks ago, I was documenting the life of American Muslim women, Theodora. So it's mainly about many different kinds of American women. You can say they are representative for, and I still working. So it's just as a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, I will not follow any American woman I met. She should be representative of part of American culture or tradition. It's the same I did in Yemen.
So, okay, so you only want to do women that have careers though? What about women that, let's say, they're stay-at-home moms?
This is just one of the project, the career. But then we have none. We have conservative women, so it's more like...
Oh, so you have different sections.
Exactly. Every one of them is representative of her woman, like her own kind.
So each one represents
like,
the section that you're doing.
Like Sarinia, the firefighter, she is representing all the firefighter, I think, around America.
And what can you elaborate more on, like what each section is, like other than the nuns and the?
Yeah. Okay, it's more about selecting women, open, liberal, crazy in good way, conservative, religious.
And for religious, are you doing different types of religions or just focusing on one?
You mean like Muslim?
Are you just focusing on Islam? Or are you focusing on Christianity, Judaism,
exactly,
etc.?
Yeah. I'm not focusing in Islam. Theodora just a representative for an American Muslim woman. But then I have another nun. She might be Jewish or Christian.
Oh, okay. So that's really good. And how's life in New York compared to Yemen?
Crazy. I keep looking to my watch all the time.
Is it very like fast paced? Yes. And everything. That's really good.
It's interesting. Yeah.
And what is so interesting about it?
Every day you learn something new and you meet new faces.
And what are the new things that you're learning compared to like Yemen?
I'm having the most wonderful education, photography education. I'm studying at ICP.
Which is exciting.
Yeah, it's one of the most prestigious schools all over the world.
And you really
yeah,
love
I'm lucky.
Yeah. And you got it because of a scholarship?
Yeah, I got a scholarship.
That's awesome. That's really amazing. I'm really glad that you came on this show with us.
Thank you, Farah.
Thank you, honestly.
Thank you.
All of us. Back to you guys in the studio.
How inspiring to see her work so hard to achieve her goals in a career she's so passionate about.
I agree. She's very talented and I loved her photos. And now to our local talent. Suffolk University rolled out the red carpet last week for our version of the Oscars. Students showcased their videos, newsmaking, and photography skills in this year's Rammys. Justin Callahan, Kristen Contreras, and Jim McMasters have more in the event.
It was a night to remember as students packed into Suffolk's new modern theater for the 4th annual Rammy Awards. Nearly 200 entries were submitted in categories ranging from visual media, photography, and news.
Updates of all.
The night brings anticipation and excitement for both the CJN department and the student nominees.
It's just the opportunity to come together as a department with our students to have just an extraordinary celebration of their talent.
I've never been to an award ceremony before, so I'm just kind of excited to kind of be in the atmosphere of one.
I have no idea what to expect, but I hear that there are going to be tuxedos and several performances, so I'm excited about that.
The evening was filled with entertainment. Students enjoyed performances by Suffolk's Rampage Show Choir, as well as the Suffolk Dance Company, and a guest appearance by Miss Boston. But the biggest performers are the lucky students who win a Rammy.
I was competing against myself for one of them,
So I'm very glad that this group won. I'm very happy with the stuff we did this year.
I thought it was awesome. I've never actually been to an award show before, and to be nominated and to win was really, really cool.
I enjoyed it. A lot of the news videos and the PSAs were just very, very impressive.
The Rammys was a true showcase of Suffolk's talents. Anticipation for next year is already growing. For Temple Street, I'm Jim McMasters.
Students can already begin submitting their work to the Communication and Journalism Department for next year's Rammys.
And now, for this week's Critics Corner, Katie Cawley is here, inspired by the royal wedding. It's all about princesses. Katie?
Thanks, Jim. It is every little girl's dream to become a princess. From fairy tales to Disney films to real-life princesses, we are always fascinated. With the royal wedding occupying even the news media, I decided to investigate the question, what makes us so smitten with the girl in the tiara? An estimated 2 billion people around the globe are glued to their TV sets to get a glimpse of Prince William and Princess Kate say I do. Let's face it, it was the closest we could ever get to a real-life fairy tale. So most of us swallowed our tears of jealousy and replaced them with tears of joy for the new princess. Like so many girls around the world, since I was little, I've always wanted to be a princess. The jewelry, the dresses, the fame. It would be a dream come true. And it isn't just because we learned from Cinderella that this would be the way to get the prince. Many people call it the princess syndrome, and many people blame Disney for it. According to Brett Farmer, a lecturer of cultural studies at the University of Melbourne, while Disney arguably perpetuates the princess myth, it hardly does it in isolation. This job is seriously appealing for many other reasons. A princess's job, if I can call it that, consists of mostly looking pretty and ensuring the royal succession, which means bearing the future kings and queens of their countries, with an occasional appearance at ceremonies, ribbon cuttings, and fundraisers. And of course, there is the living happily ever after stuff. Disney or not, what's not to like? Oh, that's right. A lot of the women would hate to live a life in front of the cameras. A poll taken by CNN has stated that over 75% of women love to watch the royal family, but would hate to have that life. All women have been instilled with the perfect image of a princess since we were children. A princess is a gorgeous, young woman with a stick-figure body and an award-winning smile, and a personality to match. Just look at the newest princess, Catherine Middleton. Before she got married to Prince William, everyone always said that she was going to make a perfect princess. She had the poise, grace, and of course the perfect wedding dress that England managed to keep under wraps better than they have some classified information at Scotland Yard. In order to be the perfect princess, you have to have the perfect dress.
Disney Fairy Tale Weddings by Alfred Angelo is a collection of 7 beautiful gowns designed for the stylish women who have grown up with the Disney princesses.
For little girls now, the Disney princesses are where it all begins. What better way than to get married in an actual princess wedding gown? Now, having the dream of being a princess inspired by a fairy tale is one thing, as most little girls I know have grown up watching Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, and Snow White. But sometimes parents and their children take the dream a little too far. Take toddlers and tiaras, for example.
I'm doing what you tell me. Okay. I can do whatever I want.
She is an only child.
Why are we doing this? It's not too late. Just get out of here.
What is wrong with these children? Or should I ask, what is wrong with the parents? While they might have the dresses and the tiaras, they do not have the air and grace. They're actually little brats. And the parents, it looks like, are more than willing to participate. Are they trying to get another shot at their long-lost dream? Despite what we know about the faith of young starlets, most mothers still want their daughters to be like the next Britney Spears or Lindsay Lohan. Excuse me? How are these the 2 best role models for their children? Lindsay Lohan was in jail for violating her probation, and Britney Spears had a mental breakdown, shaved her head, and started hitting paparazzo's cars with umbrellas. Even though people blame Disney for putting the idea of being a princess, take away the crazy mothers and time in rehab, maybe the idea of being a princess is not a bad thing after all. What do you think, Jim?
What's so wrong with being a princess?
Some things never change. That's it for this edition of Temple Street. I'm Paige Sullivan.
And I'm Jim McMasters. We'll see you next time.